You may have heard me talk about the new consciousness or the new paradigm. So that all sounds intriguing and probably like a good thing, but what does it really mean for us as humans? This is especially relevant now. If you look around and assess honestly, it can seem like humans are actually devolving, behaving in less conscious, less authentic, more oppressive and abusive ways. So where's this new consciousness, and what would a next level human look like? In this episode, we're discussing what it means to be a new consciousness or new paradigm human. We talk about what the experience can look like, what is possible as many of us exponentially rise in frequency resonance, and what we need to do to access this new level of potential. And after the discussion, we get to the most important part of this episode. The group frequency calibration at the end is where the frequency work happens and where change actually occurs. So be sure to listen to that. Without releasing distortion patterns targeted by the GFC, the change you want will be more difficult to attain because you haven't addressed the root of the issue. My name is Karen Cheong, and today in Mastering Your World Through Frequencies, we're discussing the next level human.
So, next level human. So, are we talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger? Or is this AI intelligence, Elon Musk version next level human? Or do you have something else in mind?
I have something else in mind.
Thank goodness.
So it's really about the potential that we are moving into.
Okay.
And so we're all moving into it. It's available to us. We're moving into it at different rates depending on who you are and what your frequency resonance is. And before I even start going into what it's going to look like, I just want to bring us to now, okay, and what it is that we are able to access now, because it is happening now. So meaning there are people who are clearing their distortion patterns, who are rising in their frequency resonance right now very, very quickly. And as a result, they're experiencing the magic of being at a higher level resonance. And I talk about the magic a lot, but I don't think I really talk about what that means. And I think a lot of people want to experience magic. And so they have an idea in their heads of what that is. And if they don't get that idea of what it is, they don't think they're experiencing magic.
Yeah.
It's kind of a funny thing. So what I mean by that is, and magic, it's funny, it's a spectrum of experience, right? Just like everything else. So it really depends on how high your frequency resonance is. So to me, what magic can look like is you have a lot more synchronicity, So it's like you're on your way to work and you leave at the same time you do every day. And then you have a flat and you're like, oh no, I have a flat. Okay, I gotta get out of the car. I've got to call AAA. I've got to do my thing. And then the AAA guy shows up in his tow truck. And when you have a conversation with AAA guy, because now he's helping you with the tire and the whatnot, you realize that he's a fount of information for the place that you're about to move to, that you're new to, don't know anything about, and he tells you all these logistics that you wouldn't have found out if you hadn't happened to meet him.
Right.
For example.
Okay. Right. I've got it. So like a little synchronistic moment.
And those synchronistic moments happen exactly on time a lot of the time.
Right.
So it's not
when
as
your
effortful.
frequency resonance
is higher.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And it becomes less effortful because it's almost like you expect them to happen, but not in a specific way. It's not like, today I plan on figuring out how I'm going to, find the next house I'm moving to. It's not like you're thinking like that, but you sort of know and kind of expect that something magic is going to happen today.
Like the answer will come.
Yeah, the answer will come. Yeah. Whenever it's meant to, and there's many questions out there.
Oh, and when I'm in that place, I can feel when I'm in that place because I'm not attached, I'm not fearful, I'm not in expectation or in a need to have the answer now. Yeah. It's just a complete trust.
Yeah.
Oh, and is that surrender from strength thing that you keep talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. And you're in kind of what I also call flow, because you just are.
Yeah.
You're just being. So here you are living in the present moment. You're not in the future, like you said, worrying. You're not trying to sort everything, before you don't even know what the answer is. Do you know what I mean? Like trying to control all the variables.
Yeah.
You just are.
Yeah.
In this moment. And it's kind of for me anyway, and I know what your experience is, my feeling is similar. It's a very happy, joyful place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you hinted at, what it's already here.
Yes.
Well, what's it's?
Yeah. So this magic that we're talking about, right, where there's more synchronicity, where there's more flow, people are starting to experience more of, like, they don't even particularly think of what it is they want to create yet, and it shows up for them. Okay. So it's sort of like, you, for example, and I'll just give a little quick example. So we have a client or a member of the Spherical Luminosity community, and she was, and you and I have talked about her before, but she was thinking of putting solar on her roof, okay, solar panels on her roof, because she lives in Southern California, she lives in LA. And she started to do the research on it, and she's not a very research-heavy person, so she's kind of getting overwhelmed with all the choices. She's like, I don't really know which one I want, but then there's one company sort of surfaces like, okay, I have a feeling from the website, I kind of am curious about this one. Yeah. And while she's doing all this research, like there's, her doorbell rings, and because she lives in LA, she doesn't answer her door typically, but this time she did. And who's standing on her doorstep is a salesperson from the company that she was researching and wanted to actually move forward with, who also happened to have a discount for her to put the solar on her roof, right? So she hadn't even fully, do you see what I'm saying? She hadn't even like committed to, I want this many panels, this company, this price, nothing. It's just like she was starting to like put her attention into this realm, and then all of this sort of magic happened.
Unfolds in front of her.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a fantastic story.
Feeling. Yeah. I love that story. And so in any case, this kind of level of creation is already happening for some people because their resonance is high enough. And that's what I mean by magic. And as you said, I think it's really important to mention the state that you're in as this magic is unfolding is not attached. It's not in struggle. It's not about sacrificing and working hard and getting all the details handled. It's not that. Okay, so even in that state of just that experience, that in part is, to me, is part of the magic.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, like, with myself and my husband, if we have, let's just say we're trying to figure something out, and what should we do? And then we're humming and hawing about all the different directions. And if nothing's showing up, like for me, I kind of feel into that's not right. That's not. Nothing's showing up. I'll often say, let's just leave it. Let's just walk away. Don't even think about it. Let's watch a movie, go for a walk, and it can be within an hour or a day, but then the answer just somehow just comes or appears or shows up. It's like, it's really easy just to have faith then.
Yeah,
it sounds religious, but it's really easy just to have faith.
Or trust, it really is what it is, that it's going to appear before you, because it will. And it's often in sort of unexpected ways, like someone emails you out of the blue, or you see something that shows up in your social media stream, or, like the weirdest things happen, or conversation happens, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what we're talking about in terms of human, the next level human.
Yeah, that's what I'm really curious about, because you also talk about the new consciousness.
Yes.
So
those two things overlap.
Yeah, what's happening with that too? I mean, surely there must be some bigger changes there.
Yeah. So all the consciousness levels are all available to, like, they're all there. They exist already.
Yeah.
What allows us to access the different levels of consciousness has to do with our own frequency resonance. So the higher your own frequency resonance, the more you can access these levels of consciousness. So the new consciousness that you and I have discussed before, and we have discussed many times before on this podcast, a blog or podcast or whatever you want to call it, exists already. It's just our ability to be in those frequencies and sustain that level of frequency resonance, which is very high, is now here, meaning we have risen enough in our consciousness, a number of us have, to be able to access those frequencies and to live that experience, which is more of the experience that you're talking about, of the trust, flow, ease, things showing up for you. It's just like it's almost like you're surfing through life and the surf is with you. You're not trying to paddle upstream. You know you're surfing in life. Yeah. And you're realizing you can direct your board. So that's different than, I would say, the old consciousness that we're leaving, where it's like you're being pummeled by the waves and you're trying to stay afloat, and please, can I find something to float on so I don't have to be swimming this whole time trying to tread water. Yeah. So it's a different kind of experience with life, or what I call the illusion. So it feels easier and it's more happy and it's more joyful. I'm not saying that there's no room for growth and that you won't be challenged in some way. Of course you are. Yeah. But in that new consciousness, because your frequency resonance is high enough to be in that new consciousness,
the growth opportunities, whilst they may be challenging, you also know that they're growth opportunities.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you're being bullied by them. You know, it's not like you're being like, you know what I mean? Like beat up by life.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I came from that place, you know,
Yeah.
victim to everything.
Yeah.
You know, this is happening to me. It's a conspiracy. You know?
Yeah, and it feels like you can never get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just despair.
And then finally, now to be in a place where when it happens, it's like, oh, no. Yeah. Here we go, roll up the sleeves.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to get stronger. There's no way am I going to let this pull up or drop me down in resonance.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's kind of like a little challenge.
Yeah.
I'm not getting there.
And in that challenge, in exactly what you just pantomimed, is the knowing that you can rise to that challenge.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like you're like, oh no, it's coming and there's nothing I can do about it. You're like, no, it's coming and I'm getting ready. Like I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know, I'm ready. And however, and it's not like I'm ready, you know, like you're in resistance. It's more like, okay, I'm ready. So it's like, you know, you can transcend. And in that moment, you're going to adjust to whatever it is and grow and learn whatever and examine and look for and be aware of your own distortion, release them, you know, all that sort of stuff.
It's a gift in the end.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's what I mean by the new consciousness. How we interact with the reality, the illusion, whatever you want to call it, is very different because we're very different, meaning we are more empowered within it.
Yes.
We understand our own power, our own authority, and therefore, even though there's challenge, it doesn't feel like you're getting beat up, like we just said. So that's what I mean by we're moving into the new consciousness. So to answer your question, what's here now? This is already happening. So not only in our experience, which is sort of an elevated experience of the regular reality, but there are kids now here who are fully in that resonance of next level human, who appear to us like they have incredibly special gifts, right? They seem like they can do incredible things. So for example, some of these kids, they did this study in China. China's a very big place with, you know, a lot of people.
Yeah.
So they will find within their population kids who are very gifted, who can do different things, like very special things. So anyway, they had a little school for these kids, and they blindfolded these kids and they tied their hands behind their back for this experiment. And they had a bunch of scientists observing the experiment, okay, of what these kids were going to do. And they had on a table in front of the kids, but the kids didn't touch it because their hands were behind their back. So they don't see the table. All they see is the blindness of the darkness of their blindfold, okay? And on the table was a glass and a ball, okay? They were next to each other, but not touching, so away from each other. And each child was told to move the ball into the glass. And over again, each child just simply moved the ball inside the glass without touching it. And so you're like, how is that possible? Well, it's totally possible. This is next level human. This is the human who hasn't been bogged down with all of the distortion, who hasn't been conditioned to believe that they can't co-create their reality, that they can't manipulate the reality. I say manipulate, but you know what I mean? Bend the rules of it, all that sort of stuff. They can do it. And there are even schools right now. We have a friend and her kid is a kind of a kid like this, and new conscious is a kid. You know that scene in The Matrix with the child takes the spoon, the metal spoon, he bends it, the child bends it with their mind.
Yeah.
This is like what their second class.
Yeah.
This is what the kids do. It's like, this is a spoon, it's not real. Bend it. Every single one. These are kids like between, how old was he? I think he was 7 at the time. Just like one after another, just like bend the spoon, bend the spoon, bend the spoon, because it's not real. To them, it's just part of the reality. So the straight, bent, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are not conditioned to believe what we believe is true. And as a result, because their consciousness level is higher and they're vibrating a higher rate, they can shift what in the reality shows up for them.
That reminds me of a documentary we just watched, and there's a lady in the UK works with these kids deliberately, and she blindfolds them, and the documentary shows them. They have a book in their hand, they're blindfolded, and they read the story. They've never read the story before, and they're reading it with their hand. And then they thought, okay, well, let's try a game of baseball. So they put the blindfolds on them again, and then can't see through them, playing baseball. Every single one of them blindfolded, hit the ball first time, every time, run to the spots they're supposed to run. It just, like when I'm watching, I'm like, I can feel my brain hurting.
Yeah.
How
Wow.
You know?
Yeah, how is it possible?
Yeah, and no matter how hard I try, it's like, it's not something that comes from the brain.
No, it's not. So a lot of people will hear stories of those kids and think, I'm not like that because I'm not gifted like them. It's, yes, they appear to us like they have gifts. Really what they do not have is conditioning.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and they also have a very high frequency resonance. Okay.
Yeah.
So these two things together mean that they operate at a different level than most humans who are conditioned with the rules of the illusion. Okay. What is possible? What is real? What is fake? What, you know what I mean? Like, what can you actually influence? All that sort of stuff has been very sort of drilled into us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so these kids don't have it. They're like, yeah, you're telling me that's not possible. Yeah, that's not my reality. Yeah.
It's so funny when they interviewed these kids that were blindfolded and they're saying, well, how do you do it? They kind of looked at the guy interviewing and said, oh, you just feel it. You just, you know. It's like, duh.
Well, because it's so obvious to them. It's like breathing or brushing your teeth or whatever, right? You just imagine, feel it, and then it happens. So
I was wondering as well. So, you know, coming back to the new consciousness, I wonder sometimes if these people are like anchoring that new consciousness and for us to entrain ourselves to it, you know, like, here, look, hello, this is what you're capable of accessing.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's exactly what the function is. Remember what it is that you can do. And because we have the internet now, we can see it. You know, it's very easy to see these things move around. And it's also easy to dismiss it. Like, oh, that's not true, it's staged, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what people say. People will always dismiss whatever is shown or given, right? In some way or another. There'll always be people like that who are like, that's not real, that's not true.
Yeah.
Well, it's not true for them. But just because it's not true for them doesn't mean it has to be true for, you know, not true for you.
That's right.
And so to your point, these kids are anchoring us into that reality of the next level human. They are the next level human. You are too. We just have to work to release our distortions and push our frequency resonance up so we can remember that we're just like them. There's no difference between us and them.
So do you suspect, I mean, we don't know because we haven't discussed anything like this with them, but do you suspect that it's because they're from a new consciousness and they were born into this level of consciousness, or that their lineage and maybe their parents and their grandparents were already awakened? Or can it be a bit of both, do you
I think it's a bit of both. That's my feeling. It kind of depends on the kid. And a lot of the kids that I've seen who are new consciousness kids like them, and I actually have met a number of kids now who are new conscious kids, who are in their early, mid to late teens. Okay? That's kind of like the age range. And it's really wonderful now that they're getting old enough. You know, they're starting to get older and they're able to express more what it is that they're doing and how they can change things. And you know, we met this young man who's probably about 14 now, and he basically, when he helps people with sickness, it's almost like he does like a certain motion with his hands, right? And he knows that he's releasing whatever it is that's causing the person to be sick.
Wow.
And he doesn't really tell anybody he's doing it. He just does it. And if you ask him, how do you know that you can do that? And he's just like, because I can.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't think about it too much. He just does it over and over again. And so it's interesting to see what these kids can do. They're around a lot. A lot of them are beings who are from a higher consciousness level who have not been able to incarnate into a body before because the consciousness level was too low. It was too dense. So they couldn't come in embodiment in the same way to help.
Right.
They could be around us, you know, around humans and help, but they couldn't embody in the same way. But now that consciousness has risen enough, and the work that we're doing with frequency work, by the way, is starting to increase the level of consciousness, right? It is helping consciousness to rise. So more of these beings can come in. They, just in who they are, because they don't forget, because they have an inkling or a remembering of who they are, they can awaken much faster because they don't go into the sleep that we have been through. And so as a result, they, like you said, anchor this next level human, like what is possible for consciousness in the embodied human form. And so a lot of them, at least the ones I have met, have chosen to come in at this time. Some of them have incarnated 1 or 2 times before, maybe, Some of them are brand spanking new. Does that
Right.
make sense? Like they've never been here before.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, let's see what happens. You know what I mean? It's really amazing. And it's even amazing. Like I've worked with women where their babies are new consciousness kids. And man, when they have beings who are high level beings, they force the mom to clear up, right? They're just like, yeah, that space is too dense for me. We're going to have to clean you up. So they'll work with me, in tangent with me, to get mom ready for her frequency resonance to rise so they can embody through her, because she holds the space for them, for the body that they're going to be in.
Yeah.
And then in the last however many length of time they choose to be in the womb for. But my point is they will very much start to clear up mom.
So I'm listening to you saying that these new level humans will come in through the mum and work with her to make sure that she clears her distortions. But how do they do that?
Oh, yeah. So as I've mentioned before, I'm working on frequency levels. So everything is a frequency signature, whether the being is, alive, dead, embodied, disembodied, high level being, angelic realm, entity, it doesn't matter. It's all a frequency package. Okay. It's all a specific resonance.
Yeah.
Okay. So what will happen is the being that's chosen to come into embodiment will show up in my awareness and work with me to help clear the mom's distortion. So, and they'll work very fast often. And because they are not yet embodied, their frequency resonance is very high because they don't have any distortion yet of being human.
Yeah.
Right? They're not embodied yet.
Yeah.
So what happens is it's kind of like a combined force, right? So it's like me, the being that's going to be the child, and the mother's higher self. And they will guide as to what needs to be cleared and the rate. So this is the being that's going to be the child. It's like very, very clear. Yeah. So it's really, and when that happens, it's amazing because often I don't have expectation when I'm working with people because I'm not. I'm just in the present moment, holding a certain resonance and working with whatever is presented from higher self. But when these beings that are going to be these babies come in and they work, like the moms just are kind of like, how did you know that about the lineage? How did you know? Like it's so clear, so precise, let's get rid of this. And they move so fast that the mothers are just like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of amazing, actually. So that's what I mean by working with them. They make themselves apparent and they request certain things very strongly.
So let's just say there's a mum watching this podcast, which is free.
Yes.
And she's pregnant and she may have a new level human just about to happen. And she can't afford to come and see you at an individual level.
Yeah.
But does the clearing still happen? Like, does this kid still come through?
So what will happen is the kid, if you really need an individual session, something will happen in your reality to allow for that to happen. They'll make sure it happens.
Right.
Okay. Like somehow the money for the session will show up.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or they'll guide towards certain GFCs. So all the podcasts have a GFC associated with them.
Yeah.
They'll sort of push, like be like, okay, no, do this one. You know what I mean? They'll kind of like nudge. Now you'll just think like, geez, I really have to do that thing. I don't know why I feel like I have to do that, but for some reason I feel like I need to listen to that a couple times.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be relevant, but I'm just going to listen to it. They'll nudge towards that.
Yeah.
So they are helping you to clear the deck. Yeah. So they can arrive. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, they're really, it's truly a delight to work with those beings. Yeah.
I wonder if at some stage it would be able to get them on the podcast and chat to them.
No, wouldn't it be awesome? I know. I don't. And the thing is, because I'm not in the session, I don't remember all the details. Because I don't think when I'm in the session. But it's truly amazing what they do and what they know and all that sort of stuff.
Okay,
yeah.
And I also wanted to do you know of any? So we understand that there's new kids that are possibly anchoring in this new consciousness, or just showing us how to awaken, whatever their purpose is. Is there any non-kids, like adults, elders, anything like that have been here? Because I'm kind of thinking, the levels of consciousness.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there's been previous kids
that
arrived and had us prepared for this shift.
Oh, You mean like the indigo kids or the rainbow kids? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, or some of the elders, there's some in the Sierra Nevada, the Kogi mamas and things like that, that have been holding this space. And I'm sure there's some in the Native American Indian families that I kind of wonder if some of them, and that's maybe what the attraction to the elders and the indigenous wisdom has been for us for so long, is because they remember.
Yes, they remember. And it's really amazing because when these new consciousness kids meet the elders sometimes, it's just like recognition, It's like, oh, in the elder, it's like, this is why I've been holding this space for you to come and help. And the child is like, this is why I came. Because you've called me here.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's really beautiful, actually.
Right.
So it's like this lovely recognition. And, well, you have your own new consciousness kids, but when people present supposedly as these wise elders, these new consciousness kids know. Yeah. They're like, when it's not, they're like, yeah, you're not what you say you are.
Yeah, can I tell a story?
Oh, please. That? Yeah.
So we were living in New Zealand and we went to a marae, which is in a sacred meeting space, and we were waiting on the elder, the esteemed elder. And we were all sitting in a circle. Now there must have been 100 people.
Wow.
Sitting, waiting, and I had my little boy with me, and he was sitting patiently. And the elder arrived, and the minute he arrived and sat in the seat, my boy had the most massive tantrum. Now, he wasn't prone to tantrums. He just wasn't that kind of kid. He was a happy kid. And he actually turned around and said, "Get me out of here!" Like this. And I was like, oh, totally shocked. And of course, everybody in the room, because they gave up their power to this elder, were horrified that my kid would say this. And they scuttled me and my husband out of the room like we were a disease, Get them out of the room, quick, Yeah. And we got shuffled into the kitchen and we caused such a ruckus, and it was embarrassing at the time for me. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that is happening. And I couldn't understand it. And then lo and behold, about 2-3 weeks later, we found out that this guy, this elder, was actually a pedophile. Yes. And my son was like, "Get me out of here."
So because he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. The new consciousness kids are more aware. They know what frequency, they may not think about it, but they're just like, oh, I don't like that person. They may not be able to tell you exactly why, they don't like, but they're like, I don't like that person's field. I don't like their energy. I don't want to interact with them, whatever it is, but they're very aware. And they also will not have it when somebody tries to come into their space.
Oh, yeah.
They really will balk because they hold that resonance of the new next level human, which is one where we're of a higher resonance. And when you have come into that high resonance, why would you allow anyone to come to your space and pull your resonance down?
Makes sense.
Why would you allow that? You wouldn't, because you honor the magnificence that you are, not from like an ego standpoint, like I am so wonderful, but it's more like I am an aspect of the divine. I'm here to live my highest potential. Why would I allow someone to drag that into the muck?
Yeah, makes sense. So next level human, do you have an idea? I mean, you've been talking round about it.
Yeah.
But do you have an idea of what that looks like, or how we would recognize that that's happening for us? I mean, we talked about the magic. Yeah. But is that it, or is there more to come? Do you know what it looks like?
There's more to come. I'm human myself and having my own journey, so I'm not able to see everything. Right? Because if I were able to see everything, then it would make my journey there wouldn't be enough challenge. Does that make sense?
It's kind of no longer a
journey.
Yeah. It's kind of like fast forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to have my own experience. But my feeling is really when we get to this, and I really feel like this will be in our lifetimes, and I'm excited about this, where those kids with those gifts, we have that same ability. Okay? We don't believe the illusion. We start to live into the greatness that we are without really needing to push that onto anyone, right? Because it's not egocentric.
Yes.
Right? It's really just like I understand, feel, and I'm aware of and live the magnificence that is me. So too do you. Wow. Oh, wait, we're also one, right? So now how we interact is very different. Our communities become different. The corporations become different. Our ruling structures become different. Like everything about how we are, like how we treat the earth, the technologies that come in, everything, how we create, what we aspire to as a collective totally changes. And for me, this is very exciting. Now, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like,
Yeah.
but I can feel it. It's like this incredible uptick in potential of like, wow. So if we don't have this heaviness and darkness and fear and scarcity and abuse and whatever, and we could just create in that freedom of knowing who we truly are, what would that be like? And I don't know what it will look like, but I can feel the like the expansion of it,
Yeah.
you know, and that celebration of it, which is really, it feels really glorious.
Yeah, especially if you can create at will,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Because then you don't have any scarcity.
exactly. And if you could create at will, what would you want to experience?
Yeah.
So do you see, like even that question, what would you want to experience if you already had everything you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
What? You know what I mean? Because so much of what we create is out of our lack.
Yeah.
What if you had no lack?
Yeah.
What then would you want to learn from? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how would you
Yeah.
want to grow?
Yeah.
So I feel like that is tremendously exciting.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
A good one.
Exactly. It's so funny. I remember this one little new consciousness kid I met. He was like fixated with flying. He's like, I'm totally on the edge of being able to fly. And he's like, I know we can fly. And I'm like, we can. We just don't remember. And he's like, you know, what if I did fly? And I'm like, well, if you did fly right now with consciousness the way it is, they would take you away and experiment on you. So the reason you can't fly yet is because everyone else isn't ready. I know you're ready, which is fantastic, but everyone else isn't ready for
Yeah.
you yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, poor little guy.
I know. He'll get there though.
Oh, well, that was super interesting.
Yeah.
And thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. So if you'd like to clear some of the resistance that you may have to being at this next level human, like, oh, there's no way that could possibly be me, or that's not real, or that can't happen, so you can start to experience more magic in your life now, then I strongly suggest that you listen to the group frequency calibration meditation associated with this episode, because that is where the frequency work happens and where the change occurs. If you have enjoyed this particular episode of Mastering Your World Through Frequencies and know someone who could benefit from it, please share it. We're about to start the Group Frequency Calibration, or GFC, where we actually do the frequency work and where change is catalyzed. To get to the GFC, click on the square that'll appear to the right or the link in the description below. It's time to bring in a new experience, a new consciousness, and a new world. Let's rise together.